Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. There's many myths surrounding Operation Blue Star, and I'm not going to get into some of the myths out there, like the timing of the attack, the large-scale force that was used against civilians. What I want to talk about is how Operation Blue Star represents something much deeper than simply an attack 32 years ago. We think that Sant General Singh Khalsa Pindranwale gave rise to all these social, economic and political problems that the Sikhs faced, and all of a sudden his demands were met with tanks and bombs. But the real issue of Operation Blue Star was this. On Vaisakhi 1983, 10,000 people had taken Amrit. 10,000. If you look around how many people are here, that's how many people took Amrit on Vaisakhi 1983. On Vaisakhi 1984, a month and a half before Operation Blue Star, when the government said that we need to take the big bad demonic Pindranwale out because he was the cause of the breakdown of law and order. He was leading a marginal small movement that was terrorizing Punjab. On Vaisakhi 1984, 1.5 months before Operation Blue Star, 45,000 people had taken Amrit. 45,000. The Indian establishment thought that at the turn of the 20th century, the British had been so successful in conditioning the Sikh psyche that, you know what, people started taking pictures of Sikhs. The British started taking pictures of Sikhs because they thought we were becoming an extinct race. People stopped taking Amrit. People stopped becoming Gursikh, so they took pictures of us. And the Indian establishment thought that their tirade against Sikhi in Punjab, firstly by Punjab by tearing us in half and giving half to Pakistan, tearing us again and giving it to Haryana and Himachal Pradesh, robbing our natural resources, our electricity and our water, denying Sikhi in the Indian constitution, they thought that they had finished the job. But when 45,000 people took Amrit in one day on Vaisakhi 1984, they realized that Sikhi wasn't going to finish. What they also realized was that Sant Pindranwale wasn't just a rustic preacher, wasn't just someone who spoke from the heart, wasn't just someone who was made out of metal. What he had done was establish Guru Har Gobind Sahib's dream of an independent Akal Takht. When Guru Har Gobind Sahib created the Akal Takht, it was just a block of stone, but what it represented was freedom. Over the course of 2, 3, 4 centuries, the Akal Takht became something we used to worship, made of marble and gold. But what Sant Pindranwale did, he broke all those shackles of slavery and said, don't go to the Indian courts for justice, come to the Akal Takht for justice. Between 83 and 84, there was hardly any cases that were registered in the Punjab government from the Sikh form. The Indian establishment realized that if Sikhs are taking care of law and order, if Akal Takht Sahib is the magistrate and the supreme court of the Sikh, then if they coin their currency, they have started Khalsa Raj. So the attack had to happen. Sant Pindranwale had to be killed. Because if Sant Pindranwale was the fountainhead of terror, if he was the reason for the breakdown of law and order in Punjab, like he's been vilified and criminalized for the past 30 years, then Sant Pindranwale's Shahidi should have brought an end. Sant Pindranwale's Shahidi should have brought an end to all the terror in Punjab, all the violence in Punjab. But what happened after Sant Pindranwale was made Shaheed on June 6, 1984? For the next 20 years, those same armaments, those same tanks and bombs stayed in Punjab and ethnically cleansed our people for 20 years. And this is the reason why we as Sikhs, even without Sant Pindranwale 30 years later, are still a problem for the Indian establishment. It wasn't Sant Pindranwale that was the problem, it's the ideals of the Khalsa. History by definition, history exists behind us. But what we're seeing in our history is weaving its way into our future. History can inspire us, our history can inspire us, but what we're seeing is our history, our modern history is beginning to haunt us. What the Indian establishment have realized that even after 20 years of ethnic cleansing, that the Sikh Qawm is still in front of us today. So what they're trying to do now is attack our centers of gravity. What is our center of gravity? You've seen the recent spate of Biadabi in November. Guru Maharaj's Sarups being torn at will. That is the center of our gravity. That is our value and our belief system. That is what we hold beloved. If they can tear that up in front of us without any repercussion, then it changes our belief system. It changes who we are. Wrong Sikh history is being taught in schools. Another center of our gravity is our water. Punjab's water is getting robbed at will. We're at 25% capacity, and even that is going to be taken to Rajasthan. Economists say that in 20 years Punjab will become desert land, it will become like Rajasthan. So our centers of gravity are being attacked. Our history also shows horrific examples of people who tried to finish us, either through violence or genocide. But what our history also shows us is that all it takes is one person, just that one person who cares or has a bit of memory to keep Sikhi surviving, and surviving in the most glorious way. In a hurried attempt, after the genocide, in a hurried attempt, the Indian establishment destroyed all records, all recordings and all photographs, hoping that they can never be prosecuted. More importantly, hoping that people like you will never ever remember. 32 years later, a new generation stands here, and a clear signal has been sent to the Indian establishment that nothing has been forgotten and nothing has been forgiven. But the government of India's case is quite simple. This is the government of India's case, and it's on repeat. And this is something we need to get to grips with. We will kill as many Sikhs as we can. We will run wild in Punjab. Our crimes will not be exposed. We will incarcerate as many innocent Sikhs as we can. We will promote in politics and in public life all the killers of the Sikhs. And any group or individual that tries to highlight or expose this system will be suppressed, scandalized and terrorized. This is the model of the Indian establishment that's on repeat. So we turn to us. What must change for us is our reaction to this. Their cycles of massacre are on repeat. So our reaction has to differ. But if anything gives us heart, that we have lived in the era of the greatest Sikh General since Hari Singh Nalwa. We have lived in the era of Sant General Singh Khalsa Pendrawale, the greatest general for 180 years. If anything, at the minimum, if anything, that should give us confidence and inspiration is that. If anything should invigorate our blood, it's that. And that blood should say to us that you are the stormtroopers of Guru Gobind Singh. The stormtroopers of Guru Gobind Singh. When at Chamkaur Sahib, Guru Gobind Singh and the other Singhs, when all food had finished and there were still Sawa Lakh Mughals outside, they decided we will go out in batches of 5, including Guru's own Lal, Guru's own son, that we will go out in batches of 5 and we will write a glorious chapter in Sikh history that people will remember for generations. Over 300 years later, in the Battle of the Akal Takht, Sant Bhindranwale, General Subhash Singh, Pai Amrik Singh and 150 other Sikh, when their little Dani and Sholle had finished, when their light machine guns and self-loading rifles had finished, they went bursting out of the Akal Takht and threw their bodies against the Vijayanta battle tanks. Today, as a new generation, we need to come out of our own Qila, our metaphorical Qila, that Qila that is surrounded by compromise and internal conflict. We need to get out of our own internal metaphoric Qila and get out there and react. In order to save future generations, in order to save another 2 Sikh generation, we must come out like the Sikh in Chamkaur Sahib, like the Sikh at the Akal Takht Sahib. We must come out. And we must write the final chapter in this saga. We must write the final chapter in this saga. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.